Yoav Gross, Video Department Director at B'Tselem. B'Tselem is an Israeli human rights organization documenting human rights violation in the West Bank and Gaza, both sides, Palestinians and Israelis. B'Tselem traditionally produces reports, a lot of textual information, and which is very useful for professional sources, for media, for authorities, for academics. But we wanted already a few years ago to start to engage new audiences, bigger public, basically. And this is why we started to use video very extensively. The thing is that at first we started to do mainly video. We haven't thought a lot about. The recent project we did was video blogs from Gaza. Gaza is under siege by Israel. Palestinians in Gaza are basically never seen by Israelis in a context other than violence, terrorism, Qassam rockets, stuff like that. So the idea is to try to humanize them, basically, to bring faces, to bring small corners of the Gazan reality which Israelis never see. The fact is that Israeli journalists are forbidden by the Israeli army to get into Gaza because it's considered dangerous. So we used Gazan, it basically was pretty young Gazan students, most of them, to bring us images and stories from inside Gaza to Israeli audience. It was online on the biggest Israeli news website, which is called Ynet. And this is the project I basically came to develop here, as well as the rest of the video work. There are a lot more than one. Basically, I'd say it's two levels. The tactic, very like everyday technical level, which is sometimes can be revolutionary in a way. I think that I learned to use the YouTube tools dramatically better than I used to. Meeting the YouTube representative was crucial, I think, and very interesting for me in terms of understanding how this system works. In terms of technical tips, but also getting the larger picture a little bit, to understand a little bit about how they work and how we can work together to basically for both our interests. We have a pretty big YouTube channel. It's one of the main tools we work with. And the second thing is basically the more strategic level, the very interesting talks we had by people who have maybe a little bit of a broader view, I'd say creative ways to engage public. I think that one of the most important concepts that I have taken upon myself to implement is building a two-way relationship with partners, with audiences, with supporters, which is something that we haven't really done up until now. We're kind of new with this whole Facebook. We have a pretty big Facebook group, but we have until now developing it in now I understand, a pretty simple way, and we could take it a few steps further. So that concept, for example, was important for me to learn. We don't work only with youth. We work with, basically our video work is centered around civilians from all ages, all places in the West Bank and Gaza. The thing is that when we distributed about 150 cameras in the West Bank. And the thing is that pretty soon you realize that most of those cameras, even if you give it to the older person in the family, the father, it arrives to the hands of the kids. Many times young girls also, which was very surprising and very made me personally very happy to know. That the people who got those cameras are usually the young people who were most enthusiastic about it. Basically, it was easier for them to know how to operate the technical tool. I'd say that they bring point of view which is more honest, to me as a person who basically looks at their point of view directly through the lens. I mean, what I see is I get footage that children film, and you can see that it is less mediated. It is a very direct documentation of the reality of life. They're actually braver, a lot braver kids. I mean, they will get themselves into, I'd say, more complicated situations that some adults won't. And they're not afraid to express themselves, to say what they want to say.